Okay, welcome to Bayloric TV. Today we have Paul Santisi, a very, very special man with a very special message and a good friend of my own. But let me pass you over to Paul Santisi and he can explain a little bit more about himself. Good afternoon, Paul.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic.
So where are you at the moment?
I am in the studio.
Okay, where is your studio based?
I'm in Boston, Massachusetts. Good old United States. Good old city of Boston.
Great. Okay, so tell us a bit about you then.
All right, sure. Well, I was just like anyone else. I was actually at an event in Las Vegas, and it was in between lunch on a Saturday after we broke hearing a couple speakers. And literally, I just felt this voice to create meditations. And I know it sounds cliche where people say, I heard the voice, but I heard the voice, okay? I was just walking with my friends, and all of a sudden this constant voice was in my head, you'll create meditations, you'll create meditations, you'll create meditations. And it was so persistent that after hearing it for like the 6th or 7th time, I just said to myself, fine, I'll create meditations. And in that moment, I looked at my friends and I said, when I get home, I'm going to create meditations. And my friend Joey looked at me and he said, why would you do that? Because if you have known me up to that point, if I was to say I'm going to go start creating meditations, it would be like me saying I'm going to go to Switzerland and build bridges. It was that far of a contrast of something that was out of my character. But that's what I did. I went home and I sat down in front of the computer and I had this guidance, this presence, this knowingness, this expectation. It just flowed through me, and that is how I began to create these meditations. And that's going on about 2.5 years now as of recording this today. And within that time, you're talking tens of millions of views, countless millions and millions and millions of views, thousands upon thousands of personal testimonials and correspondences continue to pour in each week and every month. And whatever it is that guided me to create these audios that I continue to produce, create something magical within people. And I just can't make this stuff up. And words can't explain the eye-opening experiences, the awakening, the self-empowerment, the connectivity, and the appreciation and the gratitude from people all over the world, including yourself. You're one of the listeners that continues to come in. So whatever this guidance and presence or knowingness is, I mean, I'm really enjoying the ride.
So Paul, I've got to ask the question. At that point in your life, what was going on?
At that point in my life, I was actually coming out of a very dark place. I did very well in my early years. I did very, very well. I went from my mother's basement to over 150 employees in about 1.5 years. And then after that, it just imploded. And I became dark. I became miserable. I pointed the finger at everyone else. I blamed everyone and everything else to why my life sucked. And it got to the point where I actually took a job in a cafeteria at a light factory. And I would cook breakfast and lunch for 300 people every day. And that's what I was doing. And I definitely was not happy. And I was not impressed with myself. But that's where I was mentally. And beginning before I heard this voice, about 1 year before that, there was this Italian truck driver that would come in and deliver raw materials to the factory. And I was not a nice person. I was very aggressive. I was very short. I was very rude to the people, to the patrons in the cafeteria setting. And he looked at me one day and he's like, bro, he's like, what's your problem? I'm like, what are you talking about? What's your problem? And he's like, that's not how you are. Why are you acting like that? Why are you being like that? And I'm thinking, who are you? I'm like, take your egg sandwich and get out of here. And the next day he came back and he actually handed me a CD. And he goes, here, you need to listen to this. And that was like the beginning moment of, I had a flashback of life at that point, because I used to be the guy that would hand out the CDs. I used to be the guy that was positive, productive, optimistic. I always saw the good in everything. And when I saw somebody that was down or that wasn't vibrating right or wasn't acting the right way for themselves, or that was actually becoming a detriment to themselves with how they were acting and responding to people, I would be the guy handing out the CD, okay? And here I was, years later, this big Italian trucker is handing me the CD. So at that moment, I think that's when that first light bulb went off of where I was like, okay, I need to go back to who I used to be. Because when I was aware of who I was in control of myself. When I took responsibility for everything that I had to deal with in life, I was creating my own show. When I started pointing the finger at everyone else, I became my own victim of my own circumstance. And I didn't know that I was creating everything to happen how it was unfolding. So if I wasn't happy with who I was or what was going on, it was my fault, my responsibility to acknowledge that. And Eddie was the first one to reopen my eyes in that moment. But then it took a while. It was about a year and a half. I went up to the attic. I dug out all my old books, the Napoleon Hill, The Power of Positive Thinking, Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I went back to the basics that I used to focus on. And then that led me to that event that I opened the story with. And it was after hearing a couple of very special speakers that emotionally moved me so much. So I was energetically so empowered. And I believe that's why I was open to receive that new block of information, which has guided me onto this journey.
So that darkness that you talk about, that position where you were very high, you were achieving all you wanted to achieve, and then there was the big fallout and almost a rebirth. What could you compare that to in the world today?
I started looking back at it now. That's a good question. The reason I experienced the implosion was now I understand it. It took me 10 years to understand it. When I was here, I started focusing on not losing it. So instead of expanding my dreams and expanding my goals, at this point, I started saying, well, I better hold on to what I've achieved. So I actually started focusing on losing it. So my vibration was based on fear. So I was vibrating what I didn't want to lose. So that's how the law of attraction works. Now knowing this, the law of attraction responds to feelings. So you can't think about what you don't want to happen and expect what you want to come in. So I was vibrating, holding on to it, holding on. I better not lose it. I better not lose it. Well, what do you think happened? The universe was like, oh, that's what you're vibrating. Those are the feelings you're generating. That's what you're thinking about most of the time. Bam. So I got exactly what I was feeling. So the key is, now that I've learned to observe in life, is you always have to work on feeling better. It's the feeling. It's how you feel in the moment that the law of attraction will give more to you. And it presents more of what you're vibrating in the form of people, situation, circumstances, and events. But the difference is, instead of becoming a victim of your own circumstance, now your perspective is that of awareness. You're aware of the people, the situation, and the circumstances. So when they do present themselves, now you have a clue. A thread is dangled down in front of you. You can start to yank on this thread, and now everything around you is in your control because you're aware. And that's what I had to go through. And it was a really difficult, dark time. It was a long time, man. Life sucked because I was creating that life. And it wasn't until I became aware that I was able to take a look back and then call the shots. So, yeah, it's pretty magical stuff. Just anyone watching, it has nothing to do with where you've been this way. The past is irrelevant. It's who you are right now. It's this moment. This moment right now. You have the power and the vibration and the excitement and the enthusiasm. When you direct that energy in the right way, you can create the life you want. But it all goes back to the feeling. How do you feel right now? Your feelings always run the show, always. So if someone says, what can I do to improve my life? What can I do to get that dream job? What can I do to attract that perfect mate? What can I do to live the life I want? My answer is always the same. Work on feeling better. Work on feeling better right now. And someone would say, well, how do I do that? And a great way to start is to go to a buffet. Go to a restaurant with a gigantic food buffet and just hold your plate and go to each food item. And in that moment, when you look at that food, you're going to get a feeling whether or not you like it or not. You're going to know instantly whether you want to eat it or whether you don't. That's not your thought. You don't think you like it. You know you don't want it because of how you feel. That's how you start dialing in and tapping into your emotions versus your thought. Because a lot of people think that your thoughts control your emotions, that you have to think positive to feel good. It's the complete opposite. It doesn't matter what you're thinking. Stop what you're thinking really doesn't matter now until you're in control of your feelings. So go to your feelings and focus on that, because like thoughts create more like thoughts. So if you realize that there's something you like and it gives you that good feeling, like-minded thoughts are going to follow. So it goes from here to here, not from here to here.
So when you were on, I want to go back to when you were on your way before the rebirth. You were on your way up the mountain to achieving from the basement. You said of your grandmother, or your
my mom's house. Yeah.
From there, the basement to the top of where you. So where did you want to be when you were in your basement? Where did you want to be, Paul?
I wanted to be at the top of what I was doing. So once I got there, I didn't know what else to ask for. So instead of continuing to expand the dream that you should be doing, I started focusing on not losing what I've achieved.
Right.
That was the mistake. But I was unaware of that. I didn't know. So experience has led me to understand this now in amazing ways.
What sort of person were you like on that journey going up, in terms of, there's some people that when they have to get to the top, they trample on other people. They are they're just so focused that they don't have time for friends. They can be very antisocial. What sort of person was Paul Santisi on that way up?
Yeah, back then, I will admit, I was ego-driven. You know, I wanted the big trucks. I wanted the sports cars. I wanted the travel. I wanted the lifestyle. And exactly what you said, I blocked out most of everyone I associated with. I became hyper-focused on the money, which fueled my ego, which provided the materialistic aspect of what I thought I wanted, but emotionally, vibrationally, I was empty. So once I got there, I didn't know what to do. So human reaction is to protect what you have until you figure it out. And that's why it all went the way it went. And it wasn't until this presence or guidance had me create this meditation that I experienced a whole different level of what life was about. So instead of trying to make the buck, I switched to just giving what I was creating for free. And I continue to do that. Every audio and every video and everything I create, I share it for free. My intention is I don't want anything from anyone except one person to feel better about themselves while listening to one of my audios or watching one of my videos. That's all I desire. So my whole intention changed. And then I started applying the power of intention into my audios. And that is what attracts people to my work, because they can feel where I'm coming from now. I don't want anything from you. I want you to feel better about yourself. And then another aspect to my intention is I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. I'm not trying to push my logic or my perspective on you or anyone in the world. However, I am here to help the able to become more able. So if somebody wants to take in what I say and use their own personal discernment to be aware of how they feel, That's the magic in creating a global shift in consciousness. So who I am now and who I was, I'll tell you what, it's way better waking up every day to hundreds and hundreds of emails and people thanking you with levels of gratitude to the ceiling on how your audios and videos have helped them to wake up, or have helped them to become, or have helped them to sleep better, to know who they really are. And that goes back to, really, we've all heard it, when one gives, one instantly receives. And I am so grateful. I have so much gratitude that I'm experiencing what that truly means right now. Because you can't put words on it. It's simply magical.
So, you're at this point now where you're helping lots of people, you're giving back. I mean, when you started off this meditation, what was the direction you wanted to go in?
I didn't even know. One indicator that I had when I first uploaded the first meditation, it was titled Frequency. And I just put it on YouTube. I had no clue what YouTube was. I'd never used YouTube. I just put it on YouTube. Within 24 hours, it had something crazy back then, like 300, 350 views. And I didn't know that that was really good. I just thought that was okay or whatever. But what really gave me the sign that I had to continue to do what I was doing was the comments. People started just leaving these comments. That audio made me feel amazing. I've never slept so well. I feel so empowered. I feel so motivated. I feel emotionally cleared. So it was more the feedback from the listener that gave birth to more self-empowerment. Otherwise, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a website. I didn't have a Facebook page. I didn't know anything. I just posted this one video on YouTube. And the response out of the gate, it's been mind-blowing ever since.
So were you inspired by any other people? Obviously, meditation and stuff like that, they say that most of the things we do in life is because we've learned it off other people. Were you inspired by anybody in terms of audio books and audio tapes? And
that's a good question. Up to that point, to this day, I've never read any books on meditation. And I only listened to a very few people about meditation because there's a what do we call it? A technique or an understanding, and that is, who do you listen to? And I learned that you should only listen to people who have what you want, who have been where you are, or who have been where you want to be. So then when I started looking up people in the meditation or metaphysical arena, if they didn't have what I wanted, if they haven't been where I was, or if they haven't been where I wanted to be, I wouldn't listen to them automatically because that wasn't the right person energetically that I would benefit from. I did listen to a gentleman named Glenn Harrold, and he's actually the UK's #1 self-help guy. And I started listening to one of his meditations, I would say about 90 days before I heard my own internal voice at that event. But that was about it. And I downloaded it from iTunes and I would listen to it. And it was on grounding the chakras. And it was a good audio. And up until that point, but he was about it. It was just that one guy in that one audio. Other than that, even still, I'm very selective on who I listen to just because most people, they don't come from the right place. They think they're coming from the right place, but they work on the technical stuff. They work on the vocabulary, the accent, the tone, the delivery, the music. They don't work on the inner buzz. Where one thing I've applied from the beginning is I've always worked on my internal intention. I work on myself from the inside out. And that just simply means before I go into the studio to create an audio now, I have my techniques, and I've explained these techniques on some of the other audios I have out there. But basically, I harness and broadcast and direct my intention in such a specific way for the listener to feel better about themselves. So I don't worry about the technical stuff. I don't worry about making it sound crystal clear, polished, like $1 million. That really doesn't matter. That's where a lot of people have it backwards. They think they need to sound perfect to be liked. No, you have to like yourself, and you have to want other people to like themselves. Then you have to want others to feel better about themselves. When you clarify that, that is the vibration that goes into the audio. That is what others feel. That's what they connect with. And then that's what allows them to create their own experience that creates abundant change in their life.
There's so much talk about religion today, the different gods, and you shouldn't go there, you shouldn't believe this, and you shouldn't believe that. And I found in my own experience that a lot of that blocks growth, human growth and development, because one religion says, don't follow him. Another religion says, don't do that. When you start opening the door and looking behind things, you're seeing, hello, there's some goodies there. I can develop my life this way. And you know, what I'm hearing you say there, you're going to the source. You're going to the source for you to get the information to give to others.
Exactly.
Were you originally a religious person? Are you a religious person or a spiritual person?
No, not at all. My parents never pushed religion. I never went to church. I never attended Sunday school. Nothing was ever forced upon me to become. It was always left wide open. But going back to what you said on the religion aspect of things, you know, I have a little unique perspective that I'll share. But before I do, whatever anyone wants to believe, who they want to become, what they want to follow, who they want to follow, it's perfectly fine. But let's just back up a second. Let's just take the word God, okay? Let's just put it here. Now, before God had a name, what was it? The universe, the law of attraction, energy, vibration, spirituality, self-understanding, okay? So before we gave this the name of God, everything is this anyway. All of this utilizes this. They just put the rules in the middle. So this just kind of gets, you know, put in your pocket. We're all dialed into the same thing anyway. Now, the religion aspect makes you look up, put you on your knees to give you a power here. That's why it's called organized religion, which is fine if that works for the individual. Thumbs up all the way. Not knocking it at all. If you remove the word or the following or the rules and you focus on this, it's the same. So before we call it a God, we were using the universal collective field.
Well, if we take away the word God for a second, there's an expression, God will only help you if you help yourself. If we take away the word God and put universe there, and we say, well, the universe can only help you if you help yourself.
And then this universe will respond to how you feel.
Right.
So your feelings are your connection to this.
Okay.
But if you want to apply this, God, whatever, that's awesome. But just, it's okay, because a woman had asked me this before. She sent me an email, and she said, Paul, I grew up in a very religious family. I have very strong religious beliefs, and I'm having a hard time balancing my belief in God with using the law of attraction. And my answer was, God is the law of attraction before you decided to call him God. And she said, wow, that's amazing. I always thought they were two different things. And they all come, everything comes from this one source. So however you want to depict it, create it, build it in your mind, believe it, follow it, that's perfectly fine because everything is subjective. What I say, what you say, what I like, what you like, what the listeners say, we're all correct, we are all perfect. Just don't bitch, whine, and complain when you apply certain techniques that don't work for you if you're going to be closed-minded to just pulling on a different thread from this side and trying it, because you might be surprised.
Absolutely.
It's all the same. It's one collective pot, but it all goes back to how it makes you feel.
I'm going to throw something else at you. the mind is the universe and the universe is the mind. What do you think?
Yeah, everything is everything. I mean, and now where I'm at in life, there truly is no limits. Everything is possible. We are all unlimited. But it's the individual believing that about themselves. Like we've all heard the phrase before, I am that, I am. I am that, I am. The true description to break that down is how you think about it. I am an extension of you. You're an extension of me. We're an extension of the dolphin, the tree, the cloud, the car, the rock, the banana. We are all extensions of each other. So I am that, comma, me, you, the banana, the dolphin, the universe, the rock. I am that, I am. When you understand it that way, then we are all united. We think we're a bunch of separate little lives and beings, individually with separate consciousness, but we're one collective unity.
Okay.
In that simple little understanding, like a lot of people say, oh, I would love to have a brand new Mercedes. Well, the guy who built the machine, who made your Mercedes, is an extension of you. So actually, you did create the Mercedes. So the Mercedes is already yours. So I am that. I am the guy, the robot that built the car. I am. So the only difference is lining up the stuff in the middle, the belief, to acquire it materialistically.
Let me throw something at you here. The Rebirth of Paul Santisi. That's what I'm going to entitle it. How much of the old Paul Santisi is being used in the new Paul Santisi in terms of attaining? Because you achieved what you wanted to achieve in your first life through believing and wanting what you wanted, and you got it. So you were an achiever. In the new world, which you're in now, how much of that which you learned in the old world is being transferred into this world now to give to others?
I don't apply any of the techniques or the methods of who I was now, because I was pulling from the wrong side. I was pulling from the ego side.
Right.
And one thing I've learned to clarify and understand more about in life was I used to think expensive things or nice things were a high vibration, that you needed to be ultimately positive and happy and productive to get something expensive. And it's the complete opposite. Materialistic things don't mean anything. They're worthless. They're just the value that we put on it based on our own perception. So anything materialistic is a very low vibration. So a lot of people think they got to be happy, positive, and productive to get that brand new Mercedes. No, it's such a low vibration. We just think it's a high vibration because we have to pay a lot of money for it. So where I come from now is going back to my intention is I just want other people to feel better about themselves. So that goes back to when one gives, one instantly receives. So I think it was Zig Ziglar who said, if you help enough people get what they want, you can have anything you want. So that's my perspective now. It's not what audio can I make and how much can I sell because I want to buy something. I don't think about any of the audios that I want to create anymore. I never really did on this level. The feelings present themselves. And when the feelings present themselves, I act on it within 24 to 48 hours. And then it flows through me. It's done. I share it. I move it on to the world. And as a result of the amount of giving that I continue to do, and I think right now on YouTube, I think there's 160 hours of free material that I've created that I just give away. So I help others and I give. And then when I give on that vibration, then whatever I think or I want and desire, if I print a picture of it and put it on my wall and I look at it, it comes in pretty quick.
I mean, I laughed earlier on, well, not laughed, it was sort of I smiled. People wondered why I was smiling. You mentioned something about, doing all these CDs because you're trying to make a quick buck here or there. And that's really got to be the discernment there, because there are a lot of people producing CDs, But you talk about quality and in going to source. You can tell the difference when you start listening and connecting to that inner core. When you're going back to the source, and it's a source we go to for our strength, for our, for all our our needs and wants. We go to the source. You can tell when you listen to this stuff that some of this stuff isn't from the source, the natural pure love. That's coming from another egotistical area. You can feel it even before you even get to listen to the actual sounds. It's almost so, like you say, so perfect that it's all here, but it's got nothing to do here.
Right.
It sounds good. It's by a big company. It's reputable. All this stuff that is logical, but logical and spirit, they're just two different worlds. If you go into the spirit world with a lot of logic, you're gonna get lost.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that most people, I don't even think that most are aware that's where they're coming from. So those of you who are watching this right now, hopefully some light bulbs are going off in your head, because that's going to make the whole difference in the world. Because a lot of people ask me, how do you continue to get millions and millions and millions of views? They're like, who do you spend for advertising? What kind of budget do you have? Where do you spend your ad dollars? And I don't spend any money. I've never spent a penny on trying to make someone click on my stuff. I don't cheat with my YouTube keywords and put in famous people to drive traffic to my site like a lot of people do. Most people do. All my clicks, all my views are pure, 100% organic on a magnetic vibrational attraction level. And to me, when I wake up and I see my view counts, or I see the comments, or I see the clicks, I know that they're pure, that they're coming from the right place. That's all my intention, connecting and attracting people to me to listen and grow through me, which helps me to grow and experience these feelings through them and people like yourself. And that's the difference. So people, I've never used AdWords, click this, click that. No clue. I don't even look, because it's irrelevant to me. Because I'm not chasing the buck. I'm not chasing the money. I'm here to empower other people to feel as amazing as they can about themselves. And that's really the difference. I mean, that's everything. So if anyone out there watching you want to make your own audios, work on yourself first. Get your vibration dialed in with who you are. Feel good about who you want to become and what you want to do for the greater good of other people, and create through that vibration. Stop chasing the buck. Focus on helping other people to become great. And you'll be blown away with how easy it is, how fun it is, how magical it is, and just how wonderful falling asleep is and waking up is and can be. I mean, I fall asleep with a clear mind, and I wake up full of purpose and enthusiasm every single day. That's not to say I don't get annoyed, frustrated, and pissed off, because we all do.
Absolutely.
We need those two levels of emotions, because if we never felt anger, sadness, frustration, or worry, we wouldn't be able to clarify how we want to feel for ourselves. So we need the clarity and emotion. The difference is you don't let that negative feeling affect you. You're aware of it.
You don't stay there.
You don't stay there. You become aware of it, and then you can focus on how you want to feel and who you want to become. And in that moment, give birth to new desire, which will instantly amplify and raise your vibration. Because remember, when you're feeling better, the law of attraction responds to feelings. So if you feel upset, but you clarify how you want to feel and who you want to become, and you see yourself where you want to be, well, now you just took that emotion, you redirected it, and you rebroadcasted it to a feel-good situation for you. Well, guess who's listening? The law of attraction. Oh, Ingram's feeling good right now. He's not mad no more. We better give him people, situations, and circumstances to give him more of how he feels. And that's how you begin to develop and create your own luck. Because we all create our own luck. We all create our life. And it all goes back to how you feel. You will get more of how you feel always.
Excellent. Now, as you know, it's the 30th of December 2014. You know, it's coming up to that time where people want to become new people. It's the new year just around the corner. And then we have the thing where the first couple of days we're the new person and then it all falls apart. I'm going to ask you, Paul, why does this happen?
All right. It's a good question. And I'm glad you brought this up because this should open some eyes, okay? There's a difference between wanting something and needing something. And there's a lot of confusion between people think a want and a need is the same. You know, what are your wants and needs? They're two different books, man. They're two different vibrations. They're two different understandings, okay? Now, I like to play soccer, or I did when I grew up, okay? And I would have loved to become a soccer champion of the world. I would have loved to win that, to score that winning goal and to have that stadium cheering for me. Would have loved it, but I didn't need it. See the difference? I didn't need it. I wanted it and I would have loved it, but it wasn't a need. So the most important thing you can do starting this year is write down what you think you want or what you think you need, and then clarify, is it a want or is it a need? Like a lot of people say, you know, I'm going to pay down my credit cards and I'm going to pay double my minimum starting in January. Well, that sounds good, but do you need to do that if you're broke? Or do you want to do it because you want to be debt-free? So that's actually a want. You don't need to do it yet. See the difference? So write your goals down, write whatever it is you want to desire, who you want to become, what you want to achieve, what you think you need for this year, or what you think you want. And notice I said that very loosely, because once you clarify, is it a want or a need, then you'll be able to put your goals in order of attaining them. And then you'll be able to create this year and become a new person and stay that person. Because a lot of people, it's all scrambled. What do I want? What do I need? What do I want? What do I need? Do I need this? Do I want that? Do I want this? Do I need that? And we all do it. But really clarify, is it a want or is it a need? Focus on the needs first. The want in that moment will give birth to desire, which will present itself once you clarify your needs. Because your needs need to be set more than they are now for your vibration to raise up. If you keep canceling yourself out, negating yourself out, you're never going to grow. So in my opinion, that's why a lot of people have goals for 30 days and then they give up, because they're not specific enough on what's a want and what's a need. And they just scramble their own brains, and then they just give up, and then they go back to being who they were, and another year goes by.
What's the most common request or common symptom or common topic that you're emailed about?
Good question. Most of it is, how can I raise my vibration? What technique can I do? What meditation can I listen to? What can I do? And the answer is such a grassroots approach. It's work on feeling better. Even if it's so simple. If you like to throw rocks, go throw rocks in the pond. If you like to color, go color in a coloring book. If you want to walk around the mall and just look at people, if interacting with groups of people puts you in that calm state, do it. It doesn't have to be this monumental goal. It doesn't have to be a millionaire, to be a billionaire, to change the world. It doesn't have to be any of that. How you start is focus on what makes you feel better. If you want to build card houses out of cards, do it. If you want to tie your shoes and untie your shoes and tie your shoes, it doesn't matter what I think about it, what you think about it, what anyone thinks about it. It's how it makes you feel. So a lot of people, they don't want to really take the time to dig within themselves to clarify what makes them feel, because they think, oh, I shouldn't think that way. I shouldn't want to do that. Stop thinking. Take thinking out of the equation for now until you're in control of your feelings. When you're aware of your feelings that are guiding you, then like-minded thoughts or the next logical step will automatically present itself. And I think it was Esther Hicks talked about this, Jerry and Esther Hicks through Abraham, that 60 seconds of focus on a want or a goal, no, 68 seconds, excuse me, 68 seconds, if you focus on what you want for 68 seconds, that is equal to 2,000 hours of you trying to figure it out. So really everything starts with the feeling. This universe and everything within it, everyone, everything, it's a response to a feeling, to how you feel.
So the next question I've got to ask is, I'm coming to Paul Santisi and I want to get my engine going. I want to know how to vibrate. What program, what video, what audio should I listen to first to clean my insides out of any sort of negative vibe, so then I can just focus 110% on what you've got to say?
That's a good question. There's really not one golden audio. I've released so many on so many different topics where I've covered so much because I don't know where you're coming from. I don't know how you were raised, what events or circumstances have embedded themselves in your subconscious.
Right.
So it could be an audio on lucid dreaming that gets you to that place of understanding. I mean, I do have some audio, some pretty powerful ones on removing negative blocks. One of them is mind silence. That is a very powerful meditation for the beginner or someone who isn't at the point of understanding too much about themselves. That could be a little much, but that audio pulls out massive amounts of emotion. We do energy clearing with the tuning forks, and then we go in and confront what's holding you back. We acknowledge it, and then we replace it with a better feeling emotion. That one does amazing things to people. It moves people in magical ways. There's another one, I believe it's called, there's so many now, I believe it's called Dialed In, and that's a 3D audio, so you need to wear the headphones, and that one is a similar one where we go through at certain tones and we bring up past emotions or what's holding you back. We acknowledge it, take responsibility for it, confront it, and then we replace it with a feel-good emotion. That's really the key. It's not about burying your past or forgetting about it or suppressing it. You can't, because it's an experience. It's a conscious experience that we experience as a being. So you can't bury it. It's part of your vibration. So you have to go back through and acknowledge it, take responsibility for it. And I'll clarify this in a second. Take responsibility for it, confront it, and then change how it makes you feel. That's the release. And when I talk about taking responsibility for everything in your life, a lot of people say, well, how did I cause that car crash? Or how did I cause this health concern? Or how did I cause something horrific that happened to my sister, or whatever it is? And it's not about understanding or understanding the why that happened. You don't have to figure it out. Just the act of acknowledging it is the energetic release. So if people were just to acknowledge, like say someone goes to work and they're feeling fine and their boss comes over and fires them because of something they didn't do. There's no need to try to figure out, why did your boss do that? Say, wow, I got fired. I didn't do anything to cause this, but I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to take responsibility for it, and I'm just going to move on. Now, that doesn't mean it's easy. This is a process. But just start acknowledging when something presents itself, whether you like it or not. Just acknowledge it. And if it's something that you don't like, that's actually an energetic release. That's a technique that will change your vibration and open up a whole new world of self-awareness. Just that one thing alone, just acknowledging. Stop trying to figure out. Stop trying to think about, why did it happen? What did I do? And a lot of people go into the what if syndrome. What if I did this? What if I did that? What if this happened? What if this? What if that? What if, what if, what if, what if? Stop. The what ifs didn't. because the experience that presented itself is what presented itself based on a bunch of factors. So don't drive yourself crazy trying to figure out, why did it happen? Why did she break up with me? Why did my wife cheat? Why did my boss fire me? Why did I get rear-ended today? Just acknowledge it. Wow. Look what I caused. I take responsibility for it. As difficult as it may seem, just acknowledge it. In that moment, awareness presents itself. Most people try to figure it out, and they consume themselves with what ifs, and then they're creating all these circumstances that never happened. Then they stay stuck, and they actually feed that negative block and cause more negative emotion to grow within them or to lower their vibration. Just acknowledge. Just acknowledge. Like if I'm at the supermarket and I'm just going down aisle 4 looking at barbecue sauce, and some old lady slams into me and hits me in the hip and leaves a mark and hits my heel and hurts me, in that moment, I'm annoyed. I'm pissed off. But I instantly, now I'm at the point where I think to myself, wow, what was I thinking or vibrating to cause that? I take responsibility for it. I acknowledge it. And I'll look at the woman and she'll be, I'm sorry. Look, it's okay. Have a great day. I'm fine. I caused it. And walk away. And then you're going to watch people go like this. Why did he take responsibility for me hitting him with the carriage? Because I caused it. If I experienced it in my life, I'm responsible for it. Period. End of story. That doesn't mean I'm trying to figure it out. I'm not going, why did this lady hit me? Damn, she hurt my leg. Wow, why? No, it's over. That's what happened. I acknowledged it. I confronted it. I took responsibility. And bam, I'm on to aisle 5 to get something else. It's just that quick. But it's a process. But once you become addicted to the awareness, the self-presence, it just becomes awesome. Because then you're in control. You're in control. You're not a victim anymore. You're not a victim of circumstance. You call your own shots. And if you don't like what presented itself, you acknowledge that you caused it. You took responsibility. And then that gives you back all the power to open anything else back up that you want to create.
That's an awesome way of thinking. I noticed on your Facebook page, on the wall, the actual, is it a medallion or a coin?
Yes, the Paul Santisi energy coin.
Talk to me about that.
Sure. That's going back a little more than a year now. How that coin came into fruition was I had gone to an event in Chicago, and I was going to see the amazing Kreskin. And if anyone has ever known him or heard about him, he's been around for about 6 decades now. He's a worldwide celebrity. He's a mentalist, just a great guy. He teaches you a lot of great stuff about everything to do with the mind and life and observing, and really great. Well, after that event, he mentioned on stage that he was trying to create a certain type of product, that he's been looking for someone for like 30 years and couldn't find anybody. Well, my friend Joe knew exactly how to create what he was looking to do. So we waited in line, he waited, and made contact, exchanged information. And then 3 weeks later, I found myself at his house in his kitchen. And we're just talking and going over this project idea. And he had a key. It was called the Kreskin key. And he gave me a key. He gave Joe a key. And I'm like, oh, wow, these are neat. And I looked at him and I said, here, put your intention into this key for me. And he looked at me. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, hold the key. I want your energy into this key for me. And he looked at me like with a moment of like wonder and amazement. And he took the key. And I was privileged enough to observe him harnessing his intention and putting it into a physical item for me. And he did what he did, and he gave it back to me. And he goes, never let anyone touch this key, because I put my intention in it only for you. And I didn't think much of it, so I just put the key back in my pocket. And then I had some other keys that he didn't touch, all wrapped up in plastic. And we had our meeting, and I went home. And then when I got home, I noticed the Kreskin key, when I held it, it would resonate differently. It would vibrate, it would tingle, it would buzz. And then if I picked up the keys without his intention, it was flat. There was nothing. It was just lump metal. So then I would put my blindfold on, and I labeled each key, and I would pick them up randomly, and I must have done this about 200 or 300 times. And every single time I could tell what key he had his intention into it. And I was like, wow, this is magic. This stuff is real. So then a lot of people were asking me, Paul, some of your meditations are long, they're an hour long. I can't meditate at work. I can't meditate until I go home at night. I'm busy. I got an active lifestyle. I got children, things like that. And they're like, what can I have on me, or what can I do every day to remind myself of the importance of my vibration and who I am and things like that. And that's how the coin was born. And again, with the coin, I sat down on the computer and in Photoshop. In about 5 minutes, I designed it. And then all of a sudden, I found a guy to manufacture them. And that's how we created the coin. With these energy coins, these are really cool. They're really popular. People in every country in the world just love them. But basically, it's just not a coin. The symbols on the coin are very meaningful. On one side, and I don't have one here, but on one side, there's the flower of life. And that's the pattern where all information comes from. Then on the other side is the torus of energy. And that's the torus, the energy field around everything. Whether it's a galaxy or solar system, a planet, me, you, your shoes, a rock, all the way down to a single cell organism, it's the energy field around anything and everything. So on one side, you have the flower of life where all information comes from. Then on the other side is the result of that information, that energy field. But then I do a step further, is I will hold each coin, and I put my intention into it on a one-by-one basis for the bearer of the coin. So it's just not I'm just taking coins and throwing them in envelopes and shipping them out the door. I actually take the time and I harness my intention for that person in that moment. So each coin is very specific and it's special for the person.
They just change the coins into keys.
Yeah, I know, huh? And then I did one step further from that, is I created a coin activation audio.
Right.
And that's an audio you listen to and you go through, and I really clarify and explain a lot more stuff. And then we actually activate you through the coin. So it's a coin activation. So the only people to touch the coin is myself, then the bearer, and then you activate yourself through the power of the symbols on the coin. So the coin acts as a good luck token for fortuitous events, for good things to happen. And it's also there as an instant reminder that if something non-desirable presents itself to you in that moment, that you created it, so you take responsibility for it, and then that re-empowers you to redirect your vibration in that moment. So there's a lot to it. And since recently, a few weeks ago, we actually have a whole new line of energy pendants as well, a whole host of different styles and colors and things like that. And it's all the same. I hold each pendant specifically for the person. Now, a lot of people say, well, you must spend a lot of time holding coins and pendants. You're right, I do. Sometimes it takes me all day. But if that's something I can do with my life and in my time to give that extra ounce of support or encouragement or value back to someone else, then to me, that's the only thing I want to do.
So, Paul, you're doing a lot of giving. What do you do to replenish that energy?
I become so empowered hearing other people's success stories. So that's my fuel. That's my motivation, is to hear more people share with me their tales of how their life has expanded or unfolded or has become amazing or great. That's my motivation now.
Paul, as we close, what would be your message to people listening, watching this, and what would be your intention you want to send down the camera?
It's real easy. Just work on feeling better. And when you do, you'll become more aware of yourself. When you become more aware of yourself, you will notice that people, situations, and circumstances will present themselves to you in that moment. You'll be aware enough to understand that because you are feeling better, something great is right in front of you. You will then take action, which then you will seem lucky to your friends, and then you'll be able to call your own shots in life. I mean, life is real easy. It's the doubt, the worry, the stress, the lack of that creates what we don't want. When you know that you're in control of everything and you start to redirect your emotions and feel your vibrations, that's when you can really start to create your own show. And it's, for some people it happens a lot faster than others, obviously, because we're not all at the same level. It took me, I was in that dark place for almost 10 years before I woke up. But 10 years, I knew that there was more to life than what I was creating. But it still took 10 years to catch up to where I even had that first thread of information that I could start to pull on that opened up this this reawakening, we'll call it. So don't put a time frame on it. A lot of people put time frames on goals, and as soon as you put a time frame on a goal, you're automatically setting yourself up for failure. Because if you say, in 30 days, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, and in 30 days later, you lost 9.5 pounds, well, you failed. If your goal is, in 30 days, I'm going to weigh less than I weigh right now, and you lose 1/4 pound, you've achieved. So don't set limitations on yourself that are so far beyond what you believe you can become, that you're automatically setting yourself up for failure. Set your life up real easy so you always win. It could be, I'm going to wake up, and the first thing I'm going to say tomorrow is, it's a great day 3 times. Everyone can wake up and say, it's a great day, it's a great day, it's a great day. Just start there. Start so simple that it's an automatic. When I wake up, instead of drinking coffee, I'm going to drink 6 ounces of water, and then I'm going to drink 2 coffees. And then if you have to break an agreement, this is another thing we'll talk about real quick. If you say, I'm going on a diet, no more cake for me, and then 3 days from now, you're at a restaurant and there's a big piece of chocolate cake. Oh, I can't eat it. But then you eat it and you feel bad. So how many people would eat it and feel bad that they said they wouldn't, but they gave in and ate the cake? Instead, just simply say to yourself, acknowledge, okay, I said that I wasn't going to eat chocolate cake. I'm actually going to make a new agreement with myself right now, and it's okay to eat this chocolate cake, and that I'm perfectly fine with it. Now you're eating the cake and your vibration isn't going down. You're not mad at yourself for eating the cake. You had an agreement, you acknowledged it, you confronted it, you made a new agreement, and you enjoyed the cake. So it's really, everything is just perspective. It's observation, and it's just how it makes you feel. And if you're making decisions that aren't making you feel good, you need to stop, back up, and focus on how you feel first. Then work on that, and then like-minded thoughts will follow, and then you'll be making the right decisions that feel good based on how you feel, not what you think you should be doing.
Paul, where can people get to see your videos or the coins, or where do they go?
Sure. Everything is available at paulsantisimeditations.com. Everything is there. You can follow us on Facebook. I have a Paul Santisi page. I have a Paul Santisi Meditations page. And everywhere in the whole digital world, on all the apps, all the audios and videos are available. iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Dre Beats, you name them, they're everywhere.
YouTube, of course.
YouTube, of course. YouTube, everything is free. Yep, there's 150, 60 hours of free content, and I'm always creating new stuff there. We have a positive music mastermind mission that we're on, and right now we have about 20 artists all over the world creating pure positive music, and I take each artist and I teach them how to harness, broadcast, and direct their intention in a way that I do. So all these songs are coming from the right place of helping other people feel better. All that's on YouTube as well, and then we're going to be having a website shortly, paulsantisimusicmastermind.com. And then within several weeks, there's going to be hundreds of songs all over the digital world through Paul Santisi Music Mastermind too. And those are other tools that people can listen to, positive, feel-good music throughout the day at work, at the gym, watching their kids, going for a walk, whatever it is. And it kind of keeps you in that vibrational alignment with yourself. But there's a lot. Just go to YouTube, type in Paul Santisi, and you got months worth of stuff there that you can start to dial in on.
Paul Santisi, thank you so much.
Awesome. This was great. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the wisdom and all the giving that you've given, and I really hope as many people as possible can get to watch this and can get to really tune in and make the changes in their lives necessary and be responsible and be accountable.
Absolutely. I haven't even started. I'm just getting warmed up.
We'll be back with you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.